Good morning, everybody. This morning, I will talk about the Philippine Qualifications Framework and the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. But first, some definitions. So, qualifications are all formal awards. These awards signify that the bearer has some knowledge or competency or that they have successfully completed some learning program. Qualifications are translated into statements of learning outcomes and associated requirements for the awards. So what is the Philippine Qualifications Framework? It is a quality-assured national system for the development, recognition, and award of qualifications based on standards of knowledge, skills, and values acquired in different ways and methods by learners and workers educated and trained in the Philippines. What are the objectives of the PQF? By means of the PQF, we're able to adopt national standards and levels for outcomes of education and training. We're able to support the development and maintenance of pathways and equivalencies that enable access to qualifications and to assist individuals to move easily and readily between different education and training sectors and between these sectors and the labor market. And we're able to align domestic qualification standards with the international qualifications framework, like the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework or the AQRF, thereby enhancing the recognition and value and comparability of Philippine qualifications and also supporting the mobility of Filipino students and workers. So the point of the talk this morning is about the alignment of the PQF with the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework or the AQRF. This is a pictorial representation of the PQF. On the left side, you'll see that we have 8 levels, L1 to L8. At the base of the qualifications framework is senior high school. Before anybody gets into any level of the PQF, he should have graduated from senior high school or grade 12. Then we build upon this National Certificate 1 or NC1. This is the language of TESDA. And then move up to NC2, 3, and 4. And then a level 5, which we call a diploma. And all of these levels, 1 to 5, can actually level up to L6, L7, L8, representing the baccalaureate degree, a post-baccalaureate qualification, and a doctoral and postdoctoral qualification, respectively. So you see all those arrows. And the grade 12, of course, does not have to pass through NC 1, 2, 3, 4. It can go directly to baccalaureate. Same as with all the other NCs. They can move up to baccalaureate because presumably if they take NC1, for example, they would have finished grade 12 already. So all of these levels 1 to 5 can go directly to level 6 or the bachelor's degree. Now, each of these levels has what is known as a qualification descriptor, akin to learning outcomes, as we shall see. And these descriptors are defined in 3 domains: knowledge, skills, and values, application, and degree of independence. So let us just take a look at the descriptors, take a number of them, and just for a flavor of what these descriptors look like. So for example, let's take NC1 or level 1. In terms of knowledge, skills, and values, the holder of the qualification must have knowledge and skills that are manual or concrete or practical and or operational in focus. And they may be applied in activities that are set in a limited range of highly familiar and predictable contexts. Familiar and predictable. They involve straightforward routine issues which are addressed by following set rules, guidelines, or procedures. And in terms of degree of independence, in conditions where there is very close support, guidance, or supervision, minimum judgment or discretion is needed. So you could almost see that this is like in a test the course in terms of knowledge, application, and degree of independence. So let's take a look at, let's say, level 4. Here, in terms of knowledge, the holder must have knowledge and skills that are mainly theoretical and or abstract with significant depth in one or more areas. They must contribute to the technical solutions of non-routine. So whereas level 1 is routine, this one, solutions of a non-routine or contingency nature, an evaluation and analysis of current practices, and the development of new criteria and procedure. So you can appreciate how much more advanced qualification level 4 is than qualification level 1. And in terms of application, they may be applied in activities that are set in a range of contexts, most of which involve a number of unfamiliar and or unpredictable aspects, versus level 1, where the applications are in familiar and predictable situations. And they involve largely non-routine issues, which are addressed using guidelines or procedures which require interpretation and or adaptation. And the work involves some leadership and guidance when organizing activities of the self and others. So this is NC4. Now let's go to NC6, baccalaureate degree. So what do holders of bachelor's degrees or what abilities should holders of level 6 qualification hold? Well, in terms of knowledge, skills, and values, the holder must be able to demonstrate a broad and coherent knowledge, and they should have skills in their field of study for professional work and lifelong learning. In terms of application, the application will be in professional creative work or research in a specialized field of discipline and or further study. And in terms of degree of independence, the holder must have a substantial degree of independence and must be able to work in teams of related fields with minimal supervision. So the expectation of a baccalaureate degree holder are, of course, much higher than those of in any of levels 1 to 5. Let's take a look at the master's degree, level 7. For somebody holding a master's degree, he must demonstrate advanced knowledge and skills in specialized or multidisciplinary field of study for professional practice, self-directed research, and or lifelong learning. And also, the knowledge must be and skills must be applied in professional creative work or research that requires self-determination or direction rather, and or leadership in a specialized or multidisciplinary professional work and research. And in terms of degree of independence, the holder of the degree must have high substantial degree of independence that involves exercise of leadership and initiative, individual work or in individual work or in teams of a multidisciplinary field. So you can also appreciate how this can be distinguished from level 6 qualification. And if you go further to level 8, the doctoral or postdoctoral level, this is what it looks like. In terms of knowledge, skills, and values, the holder of the degree must be able to demonstrate highly advanced systematic knowledge and skills in highly specialized and or complex multidisciplinary fields of learning for complex research and or professional practice and or for the advancement of learning. In terms of application, such knowledge and skills must be applied, or he must be able to apply such knowledge and skills for professional leadership, for innovation, research, and or development management in highly specialized or multidisciplinary fields. And in terms of degree of independence, he must have demonstrate full independence in individual work or in teams of multidisciplinary or fields and more complex setting that demands leadership for research and creativity for strategic value added. Well, there's a significant level of expertise-based autonomy and accountability. So that's the range of the descriptors from levels 1 to 8. And I just zeroed in on 6, 7, and 8 because these are in the province of higher education. So how does one determine whether a qualification belongs to level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8? There is a vehicle or an instrument rather called the level alignment matrix. So the descriptor, knowledge, skills, application, and responsibility, degree of independence is broken down into elements of each domain. So it's broken down into its elements. And then the learning outcomes of a program is laid across the elements. In a sort of a matrix, you'll see which outcome of the program belongs to which element of the descriptor. You'll be matching outcomes versus the descriptor. And then if you look for a match or matches in different areas, and the resulting matrix should show whether the learning outcomes are aligned to the level descriptor or not. And if not, the program is laid down against the descriptors of other levels until a reasonably good fit is achieved. One cannot really achieve a perfect fit in cases like these. So by use of judgment, one can determine whether a good fit already exists or not. If it does, then that qualification will be assigned to that level. So our bachelor's degree programs, you have the learning outcomes, which we have done because of outcomes-based education. And just compare this with the descriptors, say of level 6 or level 7 or level 8, and see where it fits, no? But for bachelor's degree, it in almost 100% certainty would fit into at least should fit into at least level 6. But you have to check because some of the outcomes may be level 5. And we have to be careful about that. The bachelor's degree program should actually squarely fit into level 6. Okay. So the process of referencing the PQF to the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. But first of all, what is this so-called AQRF, or the ASEAN's Qualifications Reference Framework? It is a device that serves as a regional common reference framework. And it functions to enable comparisons of qualifications across ASEAN member states. And it also addresses the education and training sectors, and it promotes lifelong learning. So it is a translation device that aims to broaden the understanding of a national qualifications framework such as the PQF, Pan-ASEAN member state, for people from other ASEAN member states and from outside the ASEAN region. Okay. And if an NQF level for a country links to AQRF level 4, then it will be possible to identify all the other NQF levels that link to AQRF level 4, and the comparisons can be made between the national qualifications. In the future, it may be possible, if there's commitment by the responsible bodies, to use AQRF to link to the NQFs outside the ASEAN region and to other common reference frameworks in the world, such as the European Qualifications Framework, or EQF, so that the arrangements or the understanding or the agreements will truly become global. Okay, so this again a pictorial representation of how the AQRF works. So in the middle, you have the AQRF. It has 8 levels. Country B may be on the right side. Country B may have all its levels correspond directly with the levels of AQRF 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I think in the case of the Philippines, this is the case. But in some other countries, and we have examples of these, the level 2 may not correspond to level 2. Then you have to make a choice whether it's level 1 or level 2. And if it's not level 2, probably it's level 1. And level 3 of this country corresponds to level 2 of the AQRF. So by the commutative property, you can say that country A level 3 equals AQRF level 2 equals country B level 2. So the level 3 of country A, in effect, is equivalent to the level 2 of country B. So some qualifications framework has or have more than 8 levels, in fact. And there's a matching that has to be made by each country and has to be approved at the ASEAN level when they reference their national qualifications framework. So the referencing involves the matching of the levels of qualification of one country to that of the AQRF. So the levels will have to be linked in a consistent, trusted, and transparent way. And how is this done? Actually, there is an AQRF committee under ASEAN, and this is discussed openly when the referencing is done, and also in the country, in the Philippines, we've been very open about the formulation of the Philippine qualifications framework. It was subjected to a number of consultation with Philippine stakeholders, so it becomes transparent. And we actually got a buy-in from these stakeholders so that you can say that the qualifications framework is trusted. And of course, you can more or less assure consistency if the proposed qualifications framework is widely distributed and discussed. But these are very important elements because without trust, without transparency, without consistency, the whole system of the ASEAN qualifications reference framework fails. And even the national qualification framework would fail if there's no element of trust, transparency, and consistency. So these were the members of the referencing committee for the Philippines. And in going through the referencing process, we had to describe in painstakingly clear detail several items. Number one of which is the structure of the education and training system. So if you wanted to get an overview, not just an overview, but a description of our education and training system in some detail, the referencing report that we prepared is one good reference. And it is readily available through the PQF website. In fact, you can put the PQF referencing report. You can search that and it will go straight to that item, and you can download the referencing report in a PDF format. And then we had to describe the responsibilities and the legal basis of all relevant national bodies involved in the referencing process. And these are supposed to be published by the main public authority, which in our case, by law, is the PQF National Coordinating Council, chaired by the Secretary of the Department of Education. So all these bodies will have to be published, and this includes not only CHEDTES, the PRC, but it also includes as well Marina. It involves the Aviation Authority and Department of Health, because they award qualifications. So if you wanted to know about this is also a good reference, the Philippine Referencing Report. And then we had to describe as criterion 3 the procedures for inclusion of qualifications in the PQF, or for describing the place of qualifications, or for describing the place of qualifications in the National Qualification System in such a way that they can be shown to be, or the process can be shown to be transparent. In our case, we use the level alignment matrix as was discussed earlier. So if a qualification is put up for inclusion in the framework, the relevant body must fill up this level alignment matrix and submit it to the Philippine Qualifications Register governing body, which will make the decision whether that qualification will be included in the register or not. So we do have a Philippine Qualifications Register called the PQR, and I think it must be the subject of one of the other talks in this orientation. So criterion 4 is that there must be a demonstrable link between the qualifications level in the NQF and the level descriptors of the AQRF, which I will show in a short while, how we did the demonstration of the link. Criterion 5 is the basis in agreed standards of the national framework or qualification system, and its qualifications are described. So we have to describe the standards. Criterion 6 is that the National Quality Assurance System for Education and Training that refer to the National Qualifications Framework or System are described. All of the bodies responsible for QA state their unequivocal support for the referencing outcome. So we had to write this chapter on criterion 6. This was done by the late Dr. Chito Kalingo, an expert on quality assurance. So we had to describe what are the non-government quality assurance or accreditation organizations, had to describe the quality assurance system of government, and it is all very extensive. Actually, there are a lot of bodies that are involved. But after it is described, then it could be made very clear what the Philippine Quality Assurance System for Education and Training looks like, no? So if you're interested, and this is a very good reference as well, you can read the Philippine referencing report to the AQRF. And the process of referencing has been devised by the main public authority and endorsed by the main stakeholders in the qualification system. So I think even criterion 6 says that there must be unequivocal support for the referencing outcome. So we did a number of rounds of consultation, and when all was said and done, we got the support of the main stakeholders, some of them in written form, which we submitted to the AQRF. We made sure that we were describing what exists, and we were not describing mainly what the system should be, because that would take quite a long time if we had to debate among ourselves what the system should be. But we have a system, and if you describe that, it could be acceptable to the AQRF, and it was accepted. Okay, so criterion 8, we just said consultants to be able to satisfy criterion 8, to take a look as a third party, and that guarantees a big measure of independence of the referencing process. Okay. Criterion 9, one comprehensive report, which we submitted, and it should be published by the competent national bodies, which we did. It's on the website, to address each of the referencing criteria. And it should be published by the ASEAN Secretariat and the main national public body, which is the PQF National Coordinating System, which was done. And criterion 11, this is post-referencing. Following the referencing process, all certification and awarding bodies are encouraged to indicate a clear reference to the appropriate AQRF level on new qualification certificates, diplomas issued. This still has to be done. So on the ground, what that means is that the diploma issued by a higher education institution should have a note there that it is, PQF level 11 or something to that effect, no? This is still under discussion on how this may be done. Okay, now on level-to-level linkages. Okay, let me just go to level 6. Okay, you have AQRF on the left side, PQF on the right side. So for AQRF, demonstration of knowledge and skills that is specialized, technical, and theoretical within a specific field and involve critical and analytical thinking. On PQF, we say, as our descriptor, demonstrated broad and coherent knowledge and skills in a field of study for professional work and lifelong learning. They're not exactly the same. Of course, they cannot be the same, but more or less there is correspondence between the two. And in terms of application and responsibility, the context for AQRF the contexts would be complex and challenging, and they require initiative and adaptability as well as strategies to improve activities and to solve complex and abstract issues. So on the side of our PQF, the application of professional creative work or research in a specialized field of discipline and or further study in a substantial degree of independence or in terms of related fields with minimal supervision. So you can see some terms there would be similar. And I guess this was thought to be substantially equivalent by the AQRF committee. And so that's for level 6. And that is how we did it. We just compared AQRF descriptors to PQF descriptors and made our arguments that the levels are equivalent to one another from levels 1 to 8. Okay. So we came up with a referencing report, which we submitted to the AQRF committee in a meeting last May 2019. And unanimously, they voted to consider a referencing report as reference to the AQRF. And it was endorsed to the ASEAN Ministers of Economy, Education, and Labor. And we submitted a copy to the ASEAN secretaries, which was subsequently published. And we put it up on the website. So we've been referenced since May 2019. And along with Malaysia. And then I think subsequently, Indonesian qualifications framework and the Thai qualifications framework were approved. And they have under consideration now would be the referencing of the Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodian qualifications framework. So that is where it is now as far as the AQRF is concerned. So you see that the AQRF preserved its purpose of being able to show the relationships of the qualifications framework that have been successfully referenced to it. Okay. Now, let me just show the progression through our education training system in order to connect the PQF to the PCTS, no, which is the main subject of this orientation. First, these are the acronyms used in our education and training system. So TESDA uses PTCAX, that's what they call it. ETIAP for higher education, ALS, PEPT, and TVL, mainly used by the Department of Education. So here it is, the in one slide, the Philippine education and training system. So on the left side, you have the ages of the learners. On the next column, you have the sector, higher ed, tech voc, and basic ed. And the academic qualifications by formal education of by the providers. So you have PhD, master's, post-baccalaureate diploma, and bachelor's degree. And NC1 to NC5 by these are the TVET qualifications provided by institutes, enterprises, and communities. And you have senior high, junior high, elementary, and kindergarten awarded by formal education providers. Where are the interfaces between formal, non-formal, and informal qualifications? So through recognition of prior learning, those who underwent ETIAP can be given credit towards higher education qualifications, no? Or towards a degree. And the same for PTCAX. This is an informal qualification that can be considered for award or towards the award of NC1 to NC5. And ALS, PEP, TVL graduates are awarded up to NC3 under PTCAX as well. So they may be awarded NC qualification. So as it is, this is what we have as of now. And I guess the pathways and equivalencies, credit transfer, should be able to further articulate the Philippine education and training system, all the movements of the learners through the various qualifications. So yeah, the PQF Working Group on Pathways and Equivalencies in partnership with the ADB undertook a study focused on matching learning outcomes of TVET and higher education towards the formalization of the PCTS, the subject of this orientation. And the initiative was actually built on previous output of the partnership of CHED TESDA with the British Council on the development of a framework for the PCTS. And the PCTS operates in conjunction with the PQF. And the PCTS provides the framework for learner progression through the PQF levels. And what we'll have to do, I guess, is with the PSF, the Philippine Skills Framework of DTI, we have to be able to harmonize that with the PQF and the PCTS. So while locally focused, the PCTS is also intended to meet the alignment requirements of the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. Also, further down the line, one major item that the PCTS will have to deal with are micro-credentials. Now, the PCTS answers or addresses the issue of the credit transfer in the interface between TVET and higher education. How about micro-credentials that are also in the area of, let us say, higher education? How could credit be granted to this, and how could the level be actually determined? At the AQRF level, this issue has also been raised, and that is something that not only us, in fact, it's global. Even Europe, in its summit last February, was wrestling with the issue of credits and micro-credentials. Although they have the most advanced system, they still want to formulate very certain guidelines on how this may be done. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry that I had to do this via video recording, and in 2 sessions or orientation sessions, I won't be able to join Q&A. But if I'm available, then I'd be ready to answer any questions that you may have anytime. So thank you very much for listening and giving time.